You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, General Hospital fans, we have got some spoilers for next week with Molly Lansing upset and begging, and also Drew Quartermaine making a very nasty threat against his twin brother, Jason Morgan. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and on Thanksgiving, they are airing a rerun of a July episode, and GH is totally preempted on Friday because of college football. But in the meantime, I've got 6 juicy spoilers for you for the week of December 2nd through the 6th we're going to talk about, but please click subscribe if you're not following us. And if you're listening on the holiday, I hope you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving. And be sure to check back later this week for our usual weekly spoilers video with a whole pile of info about next week. So first, let's talk about Molly Lansing-Davis and her partner, Tajh Ashford. So Ava Jerome's trial wrapped up with the defense resting on Wednesday, and then the DA and Ric Lansing made their closing arguments, and the jury is out and deliberating. And it looked like it was kind of up in the air whether Ava would be found guilty or not because of how strong both arguments were. I'm still leaning towards a not guilty verdict simply because there's more drama in that outcome than the other. I thought it was pretty interesting that Ric let Natalia get away with lying on the stand about the wreck, and there were some other inaccuracies that he could have corrected. So maybe he's holding back on those if Ava's convicted, that he could, address the perjuries on appeal. We'll see. What was interesting was that Molly absolutely told the truth on the stand and said, yes, Christina went to confront Ava after Molly advised her not to because she put protecting Sonny before anything else, including any possible risk to the baby she was carrying. And that got Molly a big glare from Christina. And then TJ seemed upset with Molly afterwards. So my perspective, my takeaway from Wednesday's episode was that, as Ric hoped, Molly seemed to be coming around to his perspective that it was a tragic accident and everybody needs to start healing. And she told TJ that this was a tragedy, and that seemed to echo Ric's closing statement and the whole reason he took Ava's case all along. But next week, things get really tense between Molly and TJ. A crying and very upset Molly tells TJ she'll do anything for him but that. So whatever it is he wants, she doesn't want to do that. And it sounds like that Meatloaf song, anything for love. I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that. Great song. So I wonder if he wants Molly to cut her dad out of her life, or maybe Christina. We'll see, but things look terribly tense in that relationship. Now, Lucky goes to see Laura next week to catch her up on the recent events with Lulu and what has happened at Turning Woods, because Laura definitely needs to know that while Lulu was over there without other family around, Cyrus Renaud stepped in and told some big fat lies, and it looks like he brought in forged documents. And I wonder if that argumentative administrator guy is going to face some backlash for believing the lies that Cyrus told him about him being authorized to speak for the family on behalf of Lulu about the care. And he was about to move her to frickin' South Carolina. Insane. So Lucky tells Laura that Lulu is awake and she ran away from Turning Woods, and their mom, Laura, says the only reason Lulu would do that is if she were in danger. And yeah, Lulu definitely thought that Cyrus was a danger. I agree. I think we all agree, right? He's a danger. Meanwhile, over at the Quartermaine mansion, Lulu Spencer looks like is starting to realize it's been more than a few days since that bomb blast at the Floating Rib, because Rocco is now a teenager. He's bigger than her. Lulu's son should be 11, but he was given a Saurus a couple of years back, and Rocco is now being played by 16-year-old Frances Carr. Now, I don't think the character is quite that old, but definitely not a tween. Lulu is thinking fast and says to her son, long time no see, because she asked Cody the date, but he never said the year, remember? But I think seeing Rocco is definitely having her go, oh, okay. That and the fact that there are people that she doesn't seem to know living in her house, it's adding up. I do think she's probably brain fogged a little bit still from the coma. So I'm guessing Rocco's going to call Dante ASAP to let him know, my mom Lulu's awake. And by the way, she's here at the Quartermaine. So there is a lot that people need to catch up with her on, like the fact that nobody knows where her daughter Charlotte Cassadine has gone to. And of course that her dad Luke and her Aunt Bobby have passed away. So after the verdict comes in, looks like we've got another heated scene of Alexis Davis and her ex-husband, Ric Lansing. I think it's after the verdict. After she went on that rant in court, which Alexis knew was inappropriate, she had to cool her jets in the hall. So it could be while the jury is deliberating, but for some reason I felt like it was after the verdict is coming in. And Alexis tells Ric they are going to have to agree to disagree. And of course, she will never agree that Ava didn't push Christina out the window because Christina has been telling a very exaggerated version of events since she woke up in the hospital and decided to sidestep any responsibility for her own actions. And of course, I know everybody is very torn on this. And again, Ava is a criminal. Ava has killed people. Ava has messed with drugs. Ava has done bad things. Ava didn't do this bad thing. You know, it's one of those things. It's like that is just a statement of the way things are. And Christina has definitely gaslit herself and others into believing that Ava, hit her like a linebacker and knocked her out that window. And it just didn't go down that way. Doesn't mean that the jury won't come back and convict her. I don't think they will, though. I also don't think Christina is going to come clean about her perjury. Meanwhile, Christina goes to Sonny and demands that he tell her the truth, saying it's what she needs right now. I mean, that could cover a wide array of topics, including why Natalia lied in court. I wonder if Sonny might have asked her to cover for Christina, or maybe it was Natalia's decision to perjure herself. Christina might also be wondering if Sonny blames her for what happened and thinks she should have made a better choice than going to argue with Ava over that subpoena. So we'll see. I suspect in the wake of this verdict, no matter if it's guilty or not guilty, that Sonny and Christina are probably going to be spending more time together. And I think Christina may be going dark. Time will tell. All right, now let's talk about this Drew and Jason stuff that is insane. For some context, remember the last time Drew and Jason were in the same room, Alexis told them that Sam's will hadn't been updated since Jason was supposedly dead. And Sam said she wanted the kids to remain together, which meant with Drew. And Jason, of course, is not going to let Drew be around Danny, given that he knows Drew's been sleeping with Willow and basically trying to tear Michael's family apart. What was weird, I noticed it at the time, and then I noticed a lot of you guys mentioned it in the comments, so y'all saw it too. There was a folder with Sam's will lying on Alexis's desk on the November 12th episode, but then on the November 20th episode, Alexis was like, I know it's in here somewhere, and was digging through file boxes looking for it, and then eventually found it. Maybe it was sloppy continuity, at GH Production, or maybe there's a more recent will and it hasn't turned up yet. But, I do think if Sam updated it, it would have been with Diane because Alexis was disbarred for the past few years, so she couldn't have done it. So we'll see if that comes up again or if it was just continuity errors. Jason wants to, make sure that Danny is near Scout. And after talking with Dante, he decided the best solution was for him to move into the Q mansion so all three kids will be together. Dante has moved in too, so Danny, Rocco, and Scout can continue being in a sibling situation. But of course, Drew the douche has to be difficult. I mean, gosh, he has just been the worst lately. Lying in Michael's face, lying in Curtis's face, boinking Willow, just awful. So everything seemed sorted with Jason moving in. But next week, Drew tells Jason that the second he moves into the Quartermaine house, he and Scout are gone. Already, Drew was going to be living part-time in D.C. while he served in Congress and was going to leave Scout there in Port Charles around family and everything. But now he's threatening to take her away from her brother and Rocco, who's basically like her stepbrother, and the whole family because Drew's just being awful and definitely is the biggest hypocrite in Port Charles right now. So watch for all this next week and check back for our full weekly spoilers video later this week.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.